The Valhalla arc of Tokyo Revengers has got to be, in my opinion, the best arc hands down in Tokyo Revengers. It had epic fights, epic entrances, epic characters, not to mention meaningful deaths and powerful moments that made me as a reader feel this emotion of pure ecstasy. So today I'll be doing a deep dive review on this arc. By the way, this video will include spoilers from the manga. Before we get into the video, make sure to subscribe to the channel as I plan to do more of this type of videos where I go over the best arcs of anime I've watched. And like I said before, today we're going to be going over the Valhalla arc from Tokyo Revengers. At the beginning of this arc, there is a meeting between the members of Tomen, and in that meeting, Mikey introduces Tata Kisaki as an official member of Tomen and even makes him the captain of the 3rd division, a division that used to be led by BAAJI. Takemichi punches the hell out of Kisaki, which I did not think Takemichi had inside of him. And then suddenly, right after, BAAJI comes out of nowhere and punches the hell out of Takemichi. And we all wondered who the hell this guy was. Well, we come to find out that BAAJI was actually one of the founding members of Tomen, and he wasn't just a random guy from the streets. And right there and then, he proclaims that he is done with Tomen and wishes to join the new headless gang called Valhalla. Even though Mikey was never a fan of Kisaki either, he realized as the good leader he is that he needs the strength of Kisaki and the disbanded members of Mobius. Explained by the genius Yamakishi, the Tokyo Manji gang has 5 divisions, each division made up by 20 members, thus making the manpower of Tomen 100 members, with Mikey and Dragon being the leader and vice leader respectively. So the main reason why Mikey wanted Kisaki was because of him having 50 members of the now disbanded Mobius in order to challenge Valhalla, whose members were 300 in total, twice the size of Tomen. Takemichi, after Mikey tells him about BAAJI being one of the 5 members of Tomen, finds a picture, and in that picture he notices that there is Mikey, BAAJI, BAAJin, Mitsuya, Dragon, and one more person. So he comes to the conclusion that there is actually 6 founding members of Tomen and not 5. The 6th member of Tomen, we come to learn his name is Kazutoro Hanemiya. Now this is where the arc got very interesting in my opinion. There were many other surprises in this arc as well, as we will get to the other ones in a little bit, but it turns out that Kazutoro, who was arrested, is now back and he wants to basically kill Mikey. Shortly then, their past is revealed and we come to find out that the reason Kazutoro went to jail was because he mistakenly killed the older brother of Mikey. When they were younger, the birthday of Mikey was approaching. Kazutoro and BAAJI did not want their leader Mikey to cruise around town in a moped. So the plan came to be to get Mikey a bike for his birthday. And not just any old bike, but the CB205T, a bike that was a dream for Mikey to own for the longest time. And the two who were gonna do it were BAAJI and Kazutoro. During their mission, they end up getting caught in the act, and it turns out the shop they were stealing from was the shop of the older brother of Mikey, Shinjiro Sano. BAAJI is recognized by him quickly, and BAAJI notices that it's Shinjiro's shop that they had broken into. But right away, quickly behind comes Kazutoro, who slams Shinjiro in the head, and Shinjiro dies right there and then. Kazutoro then goes in complete shock over the fact that they had just killed the older brother of Mikey. Instead of taking the blame, Kazutoro places all the fault on Mikey and decides he will kill Mikey. In his head, he had believed if it wasn't for Mikey, he would not have killed Shinjiro. So thus, the person to blame was indeed Mikey. Mikey arrives on the scene and sees the two in handcuffs and taken away. So the two were taken in and Kazutoro took the fall so that BAAJI didn't end up going to juvie. BAAJI was waiting for the release of Kazutoro this whole entire time, and now that he was released, the two would once again join sides in Valhalla. Kazutoro tells Takemichi to let Mikey know to get ready for war and that there's gonna be one more final battle on the 31st of October. This battle will later be dubbed Bloody Halloween. What I forgot to mention was that the new mission for Takemichi was to keep BAAJI alive during this battle, because if BAAJI ends up dying, Mikey would lose his mind and kill Kazutoro, thus taking Mikey to a darker place. Time and time again, we are reminded in the story that Mikey has this dark side within him, and what suppressed this darkness was Tomen and his comrades. And losing BAAJI to Kazutoro basically meant that he would have to kill Kazutoro. So in order to save Tomen in the future so that they do not become corrupt, Takemichi has to keep BAAJI alive during this battle. Before the day of the battle, Takemichi tells Mikey that BAAJI is truly gone. There is no saving in him, and this hard truth and realization befalls Mikey during their pre-battle meeting. He admits he just wants to be a kid and does not want to fight a friend, a very close and a dear friend of his, like BAAJI. And right there and then he says out loud, "Everyone lend me your hand and let's crush Valhalla and take back BAAJI." Even after everything BAAJI had said or done, Mikey always knew all along that BAAJI was never planning to do something bad. right? Moments like this are why Mikey is such a good character. At a crucial time of difficulty, he opens up in front of his men, and it is because of him opening up, he finds a way to fire everyone up before the battle. During the day of the fight, there is a surreal moment where both kings make their entrance. What I love about this moment was the entrance of Tommen. You see Mikey leading his gang into battle, and he is shirtless, right? And behind him is the right-hand commander, Dragon, and they have this epic walk towards the center. And the overseer, I thought, was something very cool, and he calls both representatives of each gang over to the center. Kazutoro and Dragon come forth from each side, and Dragon asks if they win, they will have to give BAAJI back, in which Kazutoro replies by knocking out the overseer and says, "You thought this was a game?" and that they've come to torture Tommen to death. So the battle begins right there and then. And real quick, I'll mention important moments that I thought were pretty cool during the battle. Like, I'm not gonna mention every little thing that happened in the battle. So we see Mikey standing with his hands in his pocket while Kazutoro charges at him at full speed. Out of nowhere comes Dragon, getting in the way of Kazutoro, and Hanma interferes with Dragon and tells him, "Yo, you have to deal with me." Then we quickly go to Takemichi, and he loses focus. Now, I love these moments that Takemichi has through the story, right? Even though he is very close with these very powerful people like Mikey, Dragon, and Mitsuya, and all of them, he tends to forget that he is, at the end of the day, very, very weak when it comes to battle. So he gets saved by his captain, Mitsuya, and he tells him to focus. Takemichi is then overwhelmed real quickly, and Chifuya comes behind him and tells him just to take it easy and focus on the guy in front of him. Chifuya is such an underrated character in the series, and during this arc is where the two become very close. They bonded over BAAJI, and you will see repeated time and time again, Chifuya is so important for Takemichi. But anyways, Chifuya tells Takemichi that during the fight it's only natural to feel scared. Everyone gets scared. But what's important is in how you handle that fear. And for the first time in the story, we see Takemichi be a badass and knocks out a Valhalla member with a cross left. All around the battle, Tommen members start losing morale. And basically the one who restores morale in everyone is Takemichi, right? They see Takemichi doing his best, and they get inspired by him, and they fight back. With no one to worry about, Dragon goes berserk, and Mitsuya explains that Dragon can change a tide of battle all by himself, and we see the true power of the second in command in full force as he takes out multiple members of Valhalla. The fight between Mikey and Kazutoro, although very short, yet again added to Mikey as a character. Even though he had every right of getting revenge for his brother, he still had not given up on Kazutoro. Before Mikey can get his hands on Kazutoro, however, he is ambushed by two of Valhalla's captains. They hold Mikey down for Kazutoro, and he starts beating Mikey up. Just when we thought the invisible Mikey had lost, we see yet again another glimpse of his true powers as he lifts one of the guys who were holding him down with his leg alone and slams him into Kazutoro. And then that's when we see Mikey's true form as a Super Saiyan. I mean, how else do you explain this seriously, man? I am fully at this moment convinced that Mikey is not human. But moving on, right after Mikey slams Kazutoro, he collapsed due to exhaustion. Then the Valhalla King decides that this was the perfect moment to bounce on the invisible Mikey while he is vulnerable. Mikey, now all helpless, is then saved by Kisaki, who arrives at the scene. By the way, let me know in the comments if you guys want a full video on Kisaki. I think he is such a good villain, and he works perfectly for this story. But anyways, Kisaki saves the day, and everyone is glad, and he earns some points within the members of Tommen. Even though he is new, everyone was glad that he was there to save their leader. Little did everyone knew that Kisaki manipulated this whole thing into basically making him the hero who saves Mikey. Shortly right then and after, BAAJI comes out of nowhere and hits Kisaki in the face with a wrench. Takemichi, now that BAAJI has arrived, remembers that he must protect BAAJI from dying. BAAJI is then shortly stabbed from behind by Kazutoro, who now is all of a sudden out of nowhere awake. BAAJI, the mad lad he is, claims that it was nothing but just a scratch, and he also, just like Mikey, goes Super Saiyan and takes out 50 Tommen members within seconds. But right then and there, when he's in front of Kisaki, he also collapses just like Mikey from exhaustion. Turns out that the staff that he had received from Kazutoro was indeed fatal. Mikey finds this out and wakes up and just starts beating the hell out of Kazutoro, saying in the process that Kazutoro had taken from him every single thing that was precious to him over and over again, that he had crossed the line this time. BAAJI, severely wounded, gets up on the verge of death and literally stabs himself so that Mikey wouldn't kill Kazutoro. In his final moments, he proclaims that Mikey, Dragon, BAAJI, and Kazutoro and Mitsuya Misuya are his treasure, and that he tried to fix everything by himself but failed in the process. Mikey then again goes absolute crazy and starts to go on a rampage until Takemichi intervenes. Mikey tells him to stay out of it and that he had no business in this, which Takemichi responds, BAAJI died because he loved everyone and that he did not want Tomen to split apart, basically sacrificing himself in the process. And then Mikey sees a charm that falls out of the pocket of Takemichi, and Mikey remembers a flashback when the original 6 members of Tomen were younger. And in this flashback, Mikey calls everyone over, and this was before Tomen existed, when they were younger. The Black Dragons, who were at the time a fully fledged gang, had been beating Kazutoro up, and through BAAJI, Mikey had found out this. Mikey asks in front of everyone Kazutoro why he hadn't told them about this, and then BAAJI comes up with the idea that they should start their own gang, and that their leader would be the strongest and most full of himself in the universe, Mikey. The Fight's leader would be the dependable big bro type dragon. Misuya would be the mediator who would command the elite card, and the powerful Pachin would be the one who would raise their banner, while Kazutoro and BAAJI will form the attack unit. Mikey comes up with the name of the Tokyo Manjiro gang, and he is quickly met with disdain from the rest of the group. BAAJI says to Mikey that they will give him their all and asks him to make them a new age, in which Mikey replies and asks BAAJI what kind of gang he wanted. And right there and then, in which BAAJI replies that he wanted a gang that were all for one and one for all, and that he wanted a gang who puts their lives for each other on the line. Realizing that BAAJI held his promise all the way till the end, Mikey stops and just cries, realizing that he needed to honor the wishes of his dying. Noticing that the cops were arriving on the scene, everyone decided to leave, and Kazutoro, feeling guilty, stays behind with BAAJI, and then he is arrested. The arc ends with Mikey writing a letter to the now locked up Kazutoro, in which the letter had said, "Now and forever, you will always be a part of Tomen," and that he had forgiven Kazutoro. The only words in which I can describe this arc are peak fiction. Anyways guys, hope you enjoyed this video. I know this video was kind of all over the place for this arc, and there's a lot of details that I missed out, but hopefully this was a good experience for you, and I did a good job explaining in why I think this arc was indeed the best arc in Tokyo Revengers. But that being said, if you made it this far, definitely leave a sub to the channel and leave a like if you've enjoyed the content. With that said, until next time.